They're like, as long as you send us the video so that we can make fun of you. Yeah, you got it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, and you look the right color. That's the most important thing.
Really?
I was like, oh gosh, please don't be blue or something.
Yeah.
Okay, really easy question. Tell me your first and last name, even though I know who you are.
John Norquist.
And spell it for me.
Jon and last name Norquist.
How do you want to be titled?
He's our artist.
Artist? Okay. But you didn't start out as an artist.
No, started out as an engineer.
Okay.
Engineer turned artist.
I mean, those things really don't typically go hand in hand. Like a lot of people, I guess I can see it, but it just seems like one is one side of the brain, one is the other side of the brain.
Right. And well, yeah, I think engineering, there's a little bit of design element, and like creativity. Not a whole lot, there's a lot of science, obviously, but it's like being creative with science. I will tell you though, it'd be one thing like, painting the Mona Lisa, I'm not painting the Mona Lisa, I'm spilling coffee. And the beauty of what I do is, a civil engineer, the whole goal of a civil engineer is to make water flow where you want it to flow, and that's what I do with art. So it kind of goes hand in hand.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. How did you come to this? I mean, we asked you this on air, but how did this all come about?
Well, yeah, so I had a terrible, frustrating coffee pot. Had it now for 9 years. Still have it, and every time you pour, it sort of dribbles along the side, off the thing, down onto your countertop, and it would splash everywhere on the countertop. And one day, it'd be very frustrating. My wife and I would talk about getting rid of it all the time. One day I saw the design of the spill, and I really kind of thought it was an intriguing design. And I literally had the thought immediately, if I outline that in black ink, I think I could call that art. And so literally we started taping butcher block paper to all of our countertops, everywhere. And my wife and I, every day for months, we'd make our morning coffee, it'd spray all over the place, it'd do its thing. After a couple months, I'd pull off the paper, I'd start outlining everything, and in the end we had what we considered to be beautiful art. And it was beautiful art created by morning coffee. It was awesome.
That's awesome. Did your wife think right away that it was art too?
Yeah,
No.
No, I think she's like, yes, John, go for it. I've always been, I've always been artistic. I've always sketched, I've painted, I've done other stuff in the wee hours of the night at our house. So she already knows that I sort of, looking for design. And she's like, okay, this is another one of, this is another thing John wants to do creatively. So she's been super, super, super supportive. But I will tell you, right out of the gate, she's like, yeah, I'll see it when I believe it.
How fast did your friend, did you show it right away to your friends? Or how long did that take?
So I've been doing this art form for probably 6 or 7 years. And it started out just literally doing art for ourselves. I wanted interesting, alive-looking abstract art, which I believe this to be. So we would do it for ourselves, and then I started doing it for family and friends. And it actually started getting a little bit more organized, I guess. I did a Columbus skyline for my brother-in-law. And I remember doing that skyline in coffee and telling my wife, I think I'm onto something here. Fast forward a couple of years, I sort of honed some of my skill. There's actually skill involved. I started doing more northwesty things. Evergreen trees was something that I thought was really, it lended itself well to this kind of art form. And that was about, when was it? That was probably about July last year, 2016. And that's when I kind of went full tilt. I organized everything. I actually just drove around Tacoma with a bunch of art in my back of my car, and wanted to find a place that would be willing to display it. And then over the course of the year, it kind of just took off from there. And it's been a pretty steep, sharp incline this past year.
Really?
Yeah.
And why do you think that is? Just because you've been out and about, because you went full, you went full in, or because you've been hustling? What do you think?
I think it's a lot of, it's a lot of hard work. So the cool thing is that the artwork, and I'm not trying to say anything about my skill spilling coffee or whatever. It is because I'm the only guy that I know that does this in the world. the artwork kind of sells itself, and the artwork intrigues audiences itself. So, when I'll have people come up to me at a show, and they'll look at my art, or even here where I sell, and they'll look at the art and they'll say, "Wow, that's beautiful art," and then I'll say, "It's spilled coffee," and it kind of like, "Holy cow, that's spilled coffee," and it sort of locks people into it. So it's really, that sort of started the wheels rolling, and word of mouth type of thing, and family and friends grew into community grew into sort of larger than that, and it's been kind of cool.
You ready to quit your day job yet?
I have 5 children. If I could raise 5 children on spilled coffee, that would be a feat, my friend. But I'm not gonna rule it out.
How cool is it though that you're a transplant and you're doing something super Northwestern, like Pacific Northwestern?
Yeah, and I don't know if that's because we had wanted to move to the Northwest for so long. I love everything about them. In fact, I moved here to run in the mountains. I'm a runner, and all I wanted to do was run in the mountains with reasonable weather coming from Texas, and so I've always just really appreciated the Northwest. I've always appreciated the water, the trees, the mountains, and so when I started doing it, it's like coffee works well, and I focus a lot of my art on Northwestern type stuff. So.
Very cool. You think you could talk about your service?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Absolutely, yeah.
Because I feel like it's got to come up a little bit because I want to get some background.
Yes.
And then also because it's going to run on Veterans Day. So I feel like that's a good way to start. Is that okay?
That works.
Okay, so you're going to Puerto Rico in a week. When the story airs, you'll be in Puerto Rico.
I'll be in Puerto Rico, yeah. So, I'm getting deployed to Puerto Rico with the Army Corps of Engineers to restore all the power woes that they have down there. I'm a civil engineer working construction for the Corps, and we're going to basically overhaul the power network there. But sort of leading up to that, I was an Army officer active duty Army officer for about 6 or 7 years. I went to West Point, kind of commissioned through West Point. And then in 2009, I came off of active duty, did another year of sort of active through 2010 here at JBLM. And then I've been in the reserves for the past 4 years. I'm currently a major in my unit's out of Hawaii, and it's as good as it sounds.
You're living the dream, kind of. I mean, really, that's incredible. How do you think that, the military has shaped you?
Oh, it's been so in many, many, many ways. I mean, I've done multiple deployments to combat theater, and that grows you as a person immensely. Whether that's just life experience, just hey, get out there and do a job and have very little input and just go and do. Be a self-starter type of thing. A lot of that came from my military and just being kind of a jack of all trades. I mean, one of the good things about the military is that they move you around job to job to job. They never really let you become an expert in anything. They want you to constantly grow. And that's translated to my life. I mean, I have so many, whether it's this, my artwork, whether it's other stuff that I do. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that I'm involved in and do. And a lot of that is because of the military's sort of upbringing.
And because of the military, you might not be in the Pacific Northwest, maybe?
No. So for right now, I will be here as long as I want. I mean, in the reserves, it's a little different than the active duty. I mean, you can for example, I'm in Hawaii in the military, so I make that work, flying back and forth when I need to be there, and you can continue that as long as you want. There's never really a you must move to the next place. So gotcha. I'm here until I say otherwise.
What do you think about when, just a total sidebar, what do you think about on Veterans Day? Do you think, what goes on?
A lot of different emotions. I mean, I have many friends, many classmates of mine, West Point classmates that didn't make it through deployments. In fact, my son is named after one of them. And inevitably, we think of him, and we think of our other classmates that have also passed. I also think of guys that are not with their families. I mean, one of the huge sacrifices, and everybody knows that. I mean, it's just you're constantly on the go. You're constantly gone. You're constantly at the beck and call of whatever the nation needs. And so you think of those guys that are over there that aren't with their families, that aren't getting to watch their kids grow, that aren't getting to go to the baseball games and see their baby born or whatever it is. And it's tough. I mean, it's very rewarding, and God bless them. The nation needs guys like that, and I just hope that they feel as appreciated as they should, because it's awesome.
What's one thing that we can do to show our appreciation on Veterans Day?
Fly a flag, man. Fly a flag. I mean, I think there's, I love just driving around town and you see flags out there. I mean, there's so much kind of hoopla nowadays about, all of the baggage that comes with some of that stuff. Sometimes we just need to strip the baggage off and say, you know what, I'm going to support veterans, or I'm going to support, whatever it is, my neighbor whose husband is deployed, or my family member who's deployed, or whatever that is, and just show support.
How do you think that art has helped you kind of at all? Like, do you channel anything when you're like making art? I mean, just like some of the de-stress or some of the experiences that you've had, whether it's in just like life or whether it's from service.
Oh yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say there's like an outlet. I'm not one where my overseas deployments truly affected me, and I don't have a lot of baggage from that. And so I don't kind of unload that baggage into my art, but it's definitely a stress reliever. I mean, one of the things about this art form is, I tell people, it's almost like Japanese gardening. I mean, the art is very wild, very chaotic, very, just crazy. And I sit there and I put every little piece of chaos in its place. And honestly, it feels that way. And when it's done and you take just, an insane mess into something beautiful, it really does feel like you did something good. I mean, as corny as that sounds, that's what it feels like.
And no two pieces are the same, right?
No, everything is totally unique. I mean, I redo designs all the time because I have some very popular designs. But the cool thing about it is I can do the design 30 times over, and every single one of them is going to be different.
Yeah, I love that. How many pieces of artwork do you think you've done? I mean, have you ever thought about counting?
A lot. Yeah, I mean, probably over. I mean, in this past year, again, I'm doing it, after work, after the kids' baseball game, that sort of stuff. And I've probably done, 120 plus, and every one. I mean, it's you think about it. Some people don't intuitively see it, but I look at the amount of effort that goes into every single one. It's process upon process upon layered process in order to get it to look like contained chaos and not just a mess on the kitchen counter. And so it's a labor of love.
How long does it take you to do each piece?
It depends. I mean, the bigger pieces will take me, I'll invest, over 12 hours. And a lot of that is like committed, I'm sitting down and I'm working like, all night, going to work the next morning type of thing. And doing that, over the course of a couple weeks. Some I would say I probably have even more than that. I probably have 15 to 20 hours in some of them. And I'll tell you, talk to my wife, she always tells me, like, I always cut myself short. She always kind of doubles my numbers, but, I don't time myself.
Wives keep track of that stuff,
They do, exactly.
Where can we find your artwork?
Online, so www.coffeeoncanvas.com. You can't beat that alliteration. Coffeeoncanvas.com, and then the only place that I sell sort of brick and mortar is here at Carina Bakery in Tacoma. I've been in a couple places in Seattle this past summer, and I kind of hope to be in maybe a couple more places coming up as well, but typically cafes and that sort of thing.
Okay. Is there anything that you want to add, or that I didn't hit on?
No, I think I'm good.
What do you think, Mom?
Well, I do think you should say something about your wife a little bit more, just that,
Your wife is a saint.
Yes.
My wife is a saint.
And she's also a West Point grad and in New York. So
Oh my gosh!
That's
you
huge
kind of
piece.
buried the lead there. I mean, not
Especially
really the
because
lead,
it's
but
Veterans Day. That's what I was thinking.
oh, okay. So
Yeah, my wife is a saint, so she puts up with all of this craziness. She puts up with, I mean, long hours away. She takes, you know, we have 5 kids. I mean, you know, it's insane the amount of support that she gives me just to do this, just to like, you know, scratch the itch that is in my brain, and stay on top of everything else that needs to happen. And yeah, she's a West Point grad. We met at West Point. We married in the Army after West Point, and she's a combat tour, you know, officer, and the amount of things that she handles, she's currently in reserves as well. The amount of things that she's juggling is insane. And then on top of it, a husband that does this sort of stuff on top of everything else.
And remind me the age ranges of your children.
I have 5 kids, the uppermost 10, and then 7, 3. Back up. I have 5 kids, the uppermost 10, 7, 5, 3, and then my youngest is a 2-month-old baby.
Are you done?
Yes. Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, after 3, for the boys and girls at home, after 3, it's very difficult. 4 is real hard, 5. Well, 5, the verdict's still out, but, you know, I kind of see the future. It's tough.
But now you have a basketball team, so.
Legitimately, yeah, exactly. No subs, so these kids are going to get their energy out.
I can't think of anything else unless you want to add anything. And then I'll get video of you if that's okay.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. It's so funny. So this coffee maker ended up being like a pretty good deal then.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, the saddest thing is that I still have it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's like, dude, okay, you've been inspired, like, move on now, get a real coffee pot. But I am so cheap that
We use it every morning.
not cheap, I'm frugal.
You still use this one?
Yeah, I still use it everywhere. That's our morning coffee pot.
Last night he made it this morning and put it in a carafe so that all of us could still have coffee.
I just go. Like if you want to bring something out or.
Yeah, so yeah, well, I kind of just wanted to show the process a little bit. And so there's 2 questions I get all the time. It's like, how'd you come up with it? And do you really spill coffee? I mean, nobody believes me that I spill coffee. I spill coffee. So yeah, so I kind of just wanted to show, you know, this is the original coffee.
Whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so this is the original coffee pot. I mean, literally, you'll see how insanely frustrating this thing is. You know, every time you pour with this thing, except for, of course, the time I'm actually going to show it. Take that shot again. Oh, jeez. Well, that was a little bit, you know, maybe a little forced, but yeah, every time you pour with this thing. We used to tape this paper down everywhere, so I'd have like multiple of these everywhere, and I would just collect. This is probably, you know, 2 months of morning coffee spills, and I would pull it up afterwards, and I would turn it into art. You know, one of the cool things I always had, and maybe this is the engineer in me, I liked sort of having the hard lines against all of the crazy lines, and what have you in my art that kind of comes from that.
Yeah, it feels like almost like a map.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I get a lot of people that, you know, say, yo, you need to do maps, or it's very map-like, or very topographic, and it absolutely is. I mean, you know, and I think too, like one of the intriguing things is you have, especially where you have these hard lines with all the craziness. I love too where, like, you know, hard lines break and your mind sort of like bridges the gap for you and continues the line through there. I don't know. I kind of think it's like it's sort of a trick in the eye that is intriguing to people. So so that's kind of how it all began. You know, it was fun. I fill up a bowl of coffee. You know, all I do to essentially dip in a mug. I drip coffee everywhere. I place the mug on the coffee pot, and I just go for it. And you know, you see some of this stuff, and it's just like, I love it. I mean, you know, I love it. You get like this little amoeba-y effect. It's beautiful. So you kind of go through the whole thing. You place the cup down wherever you want. You do this layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. You know, I probably have upwards of 20 layers in any of my work. You know, more interesting as it gets layered, and then ultimately, it'll end something like that. So that's that piece that I was just doing. And the cool thing about this is actually a custom piece for some folks down in Lake Tahoe. And the cool thing about it is that, like, you know, I can spill coffee, you can spill coffee, we can all spill coffee. So one of the things that I do it fairly routinely, is I'll have clients come into my studio when they do custom work, and they'll spill coffee on their piece with me. You know, I let them do a couple layers, and it's fun for them, fun for me. I love, you know, if there's one thing I like more than doing art, it's hanging out with people and doing art. And it's fun for them. I mean, they can have a cool things about this is, you know, like we talked about before, you know, every single one of them is replicated for people, and every single time it's a new experience, and it's a different visual effect, and it's beautiful.
I love it.
Beautiful. So this is a little different than what I showed you too. I'll kind of throw these up there.
Or I can come to you, because
Come to me, yeah.
Yeah, just to have a different.
Is that better? Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that I do too is I like to incorporate a lot of the, you know, silver and brown. I like the silver, the brown, the white contrast. So in a lot of my work, and this is a lady in a dress, obviously, with her gloves in silver. Actually, this was inspired from my daughter. She came up to me one day and said, "You need to do princesses." So this was the design that came from that. You know, it's just a work of silver down the middle, and then just, you know, abstract art around it, with all done with coffee.
So cool.
But by and large, I mean, when I take this off, in fact, here's one that I haven't done anything to. All I did was take the masking off everything, and you can see, I mean, there's a little bit there, but by and large, I mean, you get what you get. You get what you're going for.
Oh, that's so cool. You're ready.
Okay.
No, not at all. you noticed any artistic qualities in your children?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I don't know if it's nurture or nature, but like, you know, so yeah, part of me is like, you know, yeah, they're probably wired that way, but they also see me do this so often, you know, that like, they're probably like, that's what we do, you know? She is, yeah, yeah. She, you know, she's, I don't know, she suppressed it a little bit in like the, you know, to raise the children.
Pictures of your family that you're willing to share?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
I'll send them to you.
I mean, if you
Wife, me, and all the kids we have on Facebook, so I'll send you stuff that has kind of everybody.
okay. Creating over and over again, like trees or like.
Absolutely trees. I mean, the good thing about trees is, so yeah, the reason I like trees is because this looks a lot like leaves to me, right? And this is very, very indicative of, you know, you're looking at an evergreen tree, you can kind of see through it in places and what have you. And that was honestly why I had the idea. In fact, this was the first design I did that really sort of allowed me to get it out there. I did an evergreen tree one day, and I had the idea of, you know, I like that I can look at an evergreen tree and I can see through the evergreen tree, and I can kind of see all the crazy lines of the evergreen tree, and I said coffee probably would be a great sort of replicator of that. And I do more of these than anything, partially because they're the most popular.
Oh, really?
And partially just because it's fun. And every single one, you know, this is a cool one where a lot of the trees, well, all the trees are completely, the tree itself is unique. The other ones, the designs are, the coffee patterning is unique, but the designs are every tree, just because I like hard, like I told you before, like the hard lines and stuff. Put these the right way so I can get a shot of them. They're not backwards on me. Monogrammed letters. I assume everybody's last name starts with a letter. So you're doing a smattering of art, right? And I appreciate that for the art alone. And then you're doing stuff that, you know, monogrammed letters or whatever it is, so that you can kind of sustain it. I mean,
Right, because
I'll
people,
tell you-
that's what they maybe want in their home or
Exactly.
something.
Like, this stuff, I mean, it's in a magazine in Oregon, and they were all angry with me because I didn't have any Oregon stuff. So that design came out of, oh, I'm not going to do something Oregon, but I'll do something more general for you.
Oh my gosh.
But I was happy she was angry with me because I really like that.
That's awesome.
She's like, your stuff is great. I'm like, what's wrong with you?
Okay, let's see if I'm really fast. You know, it's,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's like 2 minutes.
Right.
But
I think it's Spill Coffee Make Art.
okay.
I think that's what it is.
Get one more shot.
That's everything I'm wrong.